Greetings everyone, so I asked you all to leave me questions for a Q&A video. Finally getting around to doing it today, so I'm going to jump straight into it because these usually take quite a long while to do. First question is from the Ali Kittens and they said, your hair looks fantastic, just wondering whether you could tell us what you put into it / routine. Have you ever filmed a tutorial? I've done kind of a talk through video on my beauty channel about what I use for my hair and stuff like that. I haven't done like a super in-depth video, I've just kind of done a basic, these are the products that I use and this is what I do kind of routine. My routine is really simple, but for those of you who might be interested in what I do to care for my hair, I will leave the video link for you guys below. Next question is from Kirsty11180 and this person has 3 questions and they are, what is your top 3 must visit favorite places in Korea? What is your favorite memory of Korea? Any advice for foreigners planning on holidaying in Korea? I've always kind of been of the opinion that there isn't that much of a variety when it comes to touristy things to do in Korea. If you're gonna come all the way to Korea for tourism, I would say check out Jeju Island. Jeju-do is so beautiful. I really want to go back again because the first time I went I had a not so good experience with the tour group I went with. So if you're gonna go to Jeju Island, really plan out and plan it on your own. Also, Busan is really nice to go and visit if you love seafood, and they also have a beach there, so go whilst it's warm. In terms of going to places in Seoul, you have all the touristy spots that are really easy to get to. You have Gyeongbokgung Palace, you have, I like to go to Shinsa, I think it's Shinsa, the place where it has all the nice shopping areas and like the boutiques and all that stuff. Shinsa is really nice to walk down. It doesn't feel like you're in Korea when you go there. There's also like back streets and you can walk around and see all the sights and look at the nice cafes, and it's really nice and chill there in Shinsa, so I like going there. And where else? Oh, Hongdae. Hongdae, I love going there for partying. It's always a fun night in Hongdae, so that's pretty much, if I wanted a night out in Korea, that is where I would usually go to. But off the top of my head, those are the places that I can think of right now. My favorite memory in Korea, I have so many, so I don't really have just one, but it's just all the adventures that I had with my friends and all the things we got up to, the crazy experiences that we had. Those are my favorite memories. Anna Sanders asks, what made you want to become a teacher and what made you want to teach in Korea? Well, I always had an interest in coming to Asia to teach. It was just something that always interested me. A friend of mine told me about her brother who did it in Japan, and I was like, that's so cool. And then I found out you could do it in Korea, so I decided to go and do it. Teaching was never something that I wanted to be in my career path. It was just an experience that I went to go and do. I think everybody goes to Korea for their own reasons. Some are people who actually went and studied to be teachers. Some people are going to pay off their student loans, and then some people like me are just going for the experience of it all, the traveling, and that was pretty much what it was for me. Also, I kind of wanted to learn a bit of Korean. My Korean is way better than it was when I got there, but I still need to carry on studying. Elise Johnson asks, after you finish your 1-year contract, do you have to look for another job, or do they renew it? Well, it depends on you. If you perhaps didn't like your school or you don't like your area, you just want a change of scenery, you can choose to apply to a public school, private school. It is up to you. You're free to go wherever you want to after your year contract is up. But if perhaps you liked your school and they offer you a renewal, you can renew if you wish to do so. So it's all up to you. Christelle's Creations wants to know, did you do a degree in teaching? What was your degree in? I want to teach in Korea when I finish my degree. However, I don't want to be a teacher for the rest of my life. Basically, does your degree have to be teaching related to get a job teaching English in Korea? The answer to that is no. I had a degree in international business, so your degree does not have to be related to teaching in any way, shape or form. As long as you have a degree, you can go and teach English in Korea. There is the talk program where I believe you can be in school and then come to teach in Korea. I don't know the ins and outs of the talk program, but as far as teaching full-time in Korea, you do need to have a degree of some sort. Scrambled Egg Zone 9 said, I heard that with the new government officials or party in charge, the EPIK funding has decreased and now it's harder to get into the program. I actually recently went on the website and saw that if you don't have a degree in teaching, you have to have a teaching license or some type of language learning certificate. What happened? Can you speak on this? I'm really just being nosy. love your hair, go to natural. Yeah. I did actually previously make a video on this because when I left, around the time I was leaving, there was a whole hubbub going on because there were people losing their jobs and the government were cutting funding to the EPIK program and like public school positions. From what I heard through the grapevine, they were doing it because they don't really see English as something that's very beneficial or important. So rather than paying for English teachers, they wanted to have Korean teachers just teach on their own and then use that money for free school meals for the students. So, I mean, you know, I have my opinions on that. So if you guys would still like me to do this video, because I did film it and I just didn't upload it because I didn't like the video. So I could refilm it if you guys want an in-depth video about all the cuts that are currently happening in the EPIK program, because it's not cool, man. It's not cool. But yeah, there are a lot of cuts. I don't know about the teaching licenses and all that stuff and any new kind of EPIK stipulations, because around the time I was applying, they were going to add more stipulations. Like I heard if you are from South Africa, they've made your stipulations a lot more stringent, and you need to have like proof of like 10 years in an English speaking school and all of this stuff. But I haven't had to look at any of that information in such a long time, so I'm not too sure about that. But I definitely know that they're cutting a lot of positions. Some provinces don't even have English teachers anymore, so yeah, if you want a video on that, let me know. Aruji J, I hope I pronounced that correctly, says, hello, which is better, private or public school? Also, have you ever gotten any negative flack about having natural hair? Well, I can't really say because I have never taught at a hagwon before. I've only taught public school, so I don't really know, but I'm sure there are loads of videos about public versus private school. Personally, for me, I didn't really have any interest in going to work for a hagwon because I don't like the hours, I don't like some of the stories I've heard, but I think it's all down to research that you do. Like I said, I've never worked for a hagwon, so I can't really say, but I know some people who have had really positive experiences and some people who have had very negative experiences. I think it just depends on where you go. In terms of my natural hair, no, I haven't gotten any negative flack about it. I've just had people who were very curious. I once actually had a lady touch my hair on the bus and that was about it, but that was the most negative experience I've had with my natural hair, and she soon got off the bus and apologized. So that was about it, nothing too bad. I just want to say I'm really sorry if I pronounce any of your names wrong. I'm trying, and I know how frustrating it must be because I have a name that's very difficult for people to pronounce, so apologies in advance. So Naomi Villegas has said, currently working in a hagwon, how different is it to working in a public school in terms of teaching? I know there are way more students. How's the workload? Thank you. Well, in terms of the workload, I would say it's not too bad because we all have the books that we need to work from, and usually I will just kind of supplement the work materials with like extra activities or stuff like that, because if you just work from the book, it's not enough to make a full lesson. The activities they have in the book, I don't know where they think they're going with that, but they're not enough for the students, and some of my students were really quick and they worked very efficiently, which was annoying sometimes because they got through some of their work really easily. But the workload wasn't too difficult. The only thing was that my school had me do like the English play contests and stuff, or I had to do like the summer camps, and I had to make all the materials for that on my own. But other than that, I think the workload was pretty decent. And in terms of having way more students, I think if you have a co-teacher that works with you on this, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But like I said, I haven't really worked hagwon, so I don't really know about the differences. Alexandria Owens has asked me, did you start learning Korean before you moved there to teach, and how fluent were you in Korean when you first started teaching? I did start learning Korean before I went there. I learnt the alphabet and I learnt to count to 10. So I would say that learning the alphabet is, at least, even if you don't want to study Korean, learn the alphabet. It's phonetic, it's so easy to learn, and once you do, you'll be able to read signs. You might not know what you're reading, but you will be able to read the signs, and some of them are like Romanized. Is it Romanized? Well, some of the words are English words but just in Korean, so you would be able to understand what you're reading, and it's just helpful because as soon as you start kind of picking up words, you just kind of learn without really trying. I did study a little bit, but I wasn't as dedicated until I got there. Once I got to Korea, I was way more on my studying but than I was before I left. And in terms of like before I started teaching, you don't need to speak Korean in the classroom, so it's not really important. If you have no interest in learning the language, it's okay. You don't have to learn Korean to use it in the classroom because you're really going to be encouraged to mainly only speak in English. So I barely ever spoke Korean to my students. Okay, so Tosin Elizabeth Oleadi has said, how would you sum up your overall experience with EPIK, and did you ever get freedom in your classes to discuss deep topics such as race / social issues and the like? I liked my experience with EPIK, and that's mainly due to the fact that I had a really good school. I loved the school that I was at. I had a really good experience with all of my co-teachers, and I didn't have anything really negative with the EPIK program. In terms of what I could discuss in class, there wasn't a lot of freedom because, like I said, we teach from books, so the lessons were kind of already constructed for us. I did have freedoms now and then with classes like the 6th grade because they would finish like the chapters early, so I would have more freedom to do stuff with them, but it's very difficult to get super deep with them because English levels and all that stuff. I think the only topic that I really kind of did with them was bullying, because there was a lot of bullying going on with the 6th grade students, so my co-teacher asked me to do a lesson on that with them, and I showed them a video about bullying and then asked them questions and we talked about it. So that's pretty much all I really did with them. I didn't really go super deep with them. We had like Q&As sometimes when they would ask me questions and I would answer that for them, but I can't really remember all the questions that they asked, but I gave them the freedom to ask me any kind of question that they had during those Q&As. Simply Bida has said, I know the EPIK and GEPIK programs only take teachers from certain countries that are native English speakers. Did you ever meet anyone from a non-native English speaking country who was teaching in those programs, i.e. from the Netherlands or Germany? PS, love your hair. Thank you. Well, I didn't meet anybody from those countries because they're pretty stringent on the countries that they pick from, and if anybody was from those countries, I doubt it was very legal because you have to be from those countries to get that visa, I think. If I did meet anyone from like Germany, I met someone from Germany and like all those other countries, but they were like students, so no, I didn't ever meet anybody who was from a non-native English speaking country teaching in Korea. Christine Manuel has said, I really liked your videos that show how to live and function in Korea, i.e. banking. Do you have any similar videos left? Well, I do. I've actually filmed a video about I didn't actually do a banking video, but I have filmed one and it should be up next week. I do have a couple more videos. I want to go a little bit more in depth about how to become a teacher in Korea because I have gotten a lot of messages about that and I'm surprised I haven't done one of those yet, so that is on my list to do. If you guys do have any more suggestions of videos about stuff about living in Korea that you still want me to do, then do feel free to leave those below because I feel like I'm almost done with like the living in Korea, how to function, live in Korea kind of videos. So if you want me to do something like that, then please go ahead, let me know. But as far as that, I'm kind of almost done with those. Boinia Chiama wanted to know what brand of lipstick and colour I was wearing in the video that I asked to ask me questions in, and it was from the brand Lime. Oh, whoopsie, almost lost it. It was from the brand Lime Crime and the colour is Salem. Although I don't support Lime Crime, but I paid for these products, I'm gonna wear them. But yeah, the colour was Salem. Siakia Wan has asked me, was it really expensive for you to move to Korea? How much of the Korean language do you know now? How much did you like the food and will you miss any of it when you leave? Why did you pick Korea in the first place? Your last question I already answered, and for your first question, it was kind of expensive because I had to pay for like airfare and stuff like that, and you also have to save enough to live on for 1 month because you won't get paid until the end of your first month in Korea. So it was expensive and I did have to save up for a while, but it wasn't that bad. I think it just depends on how good you are with budgeting, and I'm awesome when it comes to budgeting. Next question about the language. I know a little bit, but I haven't studied in such a long time. I haven't studied since August, which is really embarrassing. But I know way more than I did when I first got to Korea, and when I was like studying every single day and studying like 7 hours a week. I was able to have very basic conversations with people, but I do understand way more Korean than I can speak because of the Korean dramas. They really do help with listening, so I can have very basic conversations with people, and I did like the food and I do miss it a lot. So Special K XOX has asked me, what was your undergrad? My undergrad, like I said, was international business. Did you learn to speak Korean? And yes, I did. I learned to speak a little bit of Korean, enough to get by. What is your next step in terms of career? That is a good question. And how much money were you able to save? I think in terms of saving and stuff like that, I'm not going to say how much I saved, but I think if you are good with budgeting, then you should be able to save a lot of money, and that's that. They also asked me, would you ever want to live abroad again? And the answer to that is yes. Once you have been bitten with the travel bug, it's really hard. You want to travel all the time, you want to live abroad or go somewhere all the time. Now that I'm getting a little bit older, I don't really feel like I have that much freedom anymore, because if I want to move abroad, it will, for me personally, in my opinion, it would have to be a country that I'm going to settle down for life, because I want to kind of start my career and I don't really have the option to be moving around if I want to do that. So if I'm moving abroad, it's a career move and it's like for life. I want to start like planting my roots somewhere. So I think I'm getting on in life, but I would like to travel way more, but living abroad would have to be like a serious consideration for me right now. Enzo has asked me, what are some things that you know now that you wish you would have known when you first started teaching / moved to Korea? Good question. Honestly, there wasn't too much, because before I went, I did try to do as much research as possible, but for me it was the little day-to-day things that you can't really research a lot, like a few banking things, or I can't really think of anything off the top of my head where I was like super surprised or like, darn it, I wish I knew this before I moved. It was just the little day-to-day things that I found out along the way about that suddenly I can't really think off the top of my head. Maybe it's like the little banking things or like paying bills or certain aspects like that. But other than that, I did try to research as much as possible. I feel like with this question, as soon as I'm like done answering it, I'm gonna remember something. But off the top of my head, there wasn't anything that I was like, oh my gosh, I wish someone told me about this. Special K XOX has more questions. How long was your entire application to arrive to acceptance? When did you start your application? Well, oh, you have a lot of questions. Okay. Well, it was a really long process. I believe, if memory serves me correct, I started the application process in August of 2012, and then from that point I moved to Korea the next year in February 2013. So what, 6 months? 6 months. So it's a really long process. That includes like getting all your documentation. And like waiting to hear back from placements and stuff. And the funny thing is, even after all that long process, there is a small chance with EPIK that like a week before you go, you could be told that like, actually no, sorry, there is no space for you, which is, I'm sure, can be frustrating. Did you consider other countries to teach in? Probably Japan. That was a country I originally wanted to go to, but as I got older, I think I started to lean more to Korea. Is the TOEFL test hard? It depends on what company that you go with, because some companies choose to do their testing a different way. The one I went with, you had to write loads of essays. Some other people, they had ones where you had to do multiple choice questions. So it just depends on the company that you choose to go with. Any Korean mannerisms you picked up that are hard to shake now you're back? Not too many, actually. As soon as I got back, I kind of got rid of some of the things I would do. I used to say "아이고" a lot. Even to my students, I would say it, and it would just kind of like tumble out of my mouth. I'm glad that's like gone, because I can't really explain "아이고" to people. And then also "her," I would say that a lot as well, but not too many. The ones that I did pick up, like I just said, are kind of like gone. Any reverse culture shock observations? I've done a video about reverse culture shock, and I will leave that link below for you guys to check out. Gelatinous Zooplankton has asked me, what is the best way to get certified for teaching in Korea? What sort of certification would I need, and from where? In terms of like certification on that stuff, when I applied, you just needed a TEFL certification, and that's really easy to get. And you also needed 20 hours of in-class training. And if you have like a teaching degree, I don't think you need to get any sort of like certificates. I think as long as you can prove that like you have like a teaching degree, then you don't need to get any extra certification. And also I think if you have an English degree as well, but I'm a bit like hazy on those points. But check out the EPIK website. They should have all of that and what you need and stuff like that, because that information is like really readily available. Ms. Candy 94 has said, how long in total were you out there for? I was out there for 2 years. And can you speak the language fluently, or at least read/understand it? I can not speak Korean fluently. I can read Korean, but it depends on the level, because if it's like a really hard book, I can't understand. But like manhwa and stuff like that, I can kind of get the gist. It depends on how simple the conversation is. Like if it's like about quantum physics, then yeah, obviously I can't understand. But something really simple, I can understand. And also I can sometimes understand some things if I'm watching like K-dramas without subtitles, because it's really basic stuff that they say. So yeah, if the conversation's really simple, I can tend to get the gist of what's going on. Mabsud Mohammed has asked, were there many halal restaurants? I think there might be some halal restaurants in maybe Seoul. I'm not 100% sure. But for some reason, I feel like I've eaten at a place that has advertised as being halal, but I'm not very sure, but I'm sure there are. So Beautiful has asked me, what are some inexpensive options when visiting Korea? One that actually comes to mind is when my friend actually came to visit me, she wanted to try on a hanbok, and you can go to the cafes and stuff and they charge you like, I don't know, 30,000 won or whatever for a certain amount of time to try on the hanbok. But you can actually go to a cultural center. We went to one in Myeongdong and she got to try on hanboks. We took pictures and stuff for free. So they had tripods there, and you can like put your camera on a tripod, take pictures. I brought my DSLR with me and I have like a remote. Well, no, I think I forgot my remote, so I just put on timer, took pictures, and we didn't have to pay a penny. So there are loads of options. If you search online, I'm sure there are like so many things that you can find. I always try to make sure to watch whatever new Hong Sisters dramas out, because their dramas are usually like crack-tastic.